And we are back. Welcome to my Premier League Team of the Season video. This is going to be the first of many wrap-up videos we've got coming up for you over the next few weeks on this channel. We're going to have my reaction to my Premier League table prediction at the start of the season. That is going to be coming out for you next week, so make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss out on that. Not only that, I'm going to have my Manchester United Stay or Go video coming out for you very, very shortly. And of course, if you're not already subscribed, don't forget that we are going to be doing predictions for every single Euro 2024 game, as well as every Copa America 2024 game coming up for you in the coming weeks as well. So a whole host of content for you guys to digest over the next few weeks. And make sure you are subscribed to the channel so you don't miss out on any of that. And drop a like on this video as well if you do enjoy the content on this channel. But yes, today's video is discussing my Premier League team of the season as completely chosen by me. As we'll also go through who I believe the player of the season was as well. Obviously, it'll be someone from this team. But without any further ado, let's get straight into it. We're going to do the usual process, starting off with the goalkeeper, into the defence, into the midfield, and then the attack, before I then declare who I believe was, in fact, the player of the season. So let's just get into it, starting off with the goalkeeper position. Now, for me, it was really down to between probably 3 or 4. You have to obviously look at David Raya, because he got the most clean sheets this season. And ironically, he was actually my team of the season goalkeeper when he was at Brentford last season. Other candidates for me were Emi Martinez, Jordan Pickford and Alisson. Now, I'm going to immediately rule out Alisson because for me, he's just not played enough this season. And actually, since he's come back, Liverpool's results haven't really changed. So his impact on the side was probably not as good as it possibly seemed initially. So I'm going to rule Alisson out immediately. I'm also going to rule out David Raya because I think a lot of Arsenal's success defensively came down to their defence. And surprise and spoilers, as some of their defenders are going to be in my defence very shortly. So then it just comes down to Emi Martinez and Jordan Pickford. And it was really, really close for me because I think, to be honest, as someone who's constantly moaned about Jordan Pickford on this channel when he plays for England, I genuinely think Jordan Pickford's had his best season in English football. I've been really, really impressed with him this season. Second most clean sheets in the Premier League behind David Raya as well. So fair play to him for, you know, in an Everton side that was facing relegation as little as a month ago. And obviously 5 clean sheets for them in the last 7 games, really helping them in that survival bid. However, if you look at it from a statistic standpoint and an actual overall impact on the side, Emi Martinez just edges it. And, you know, we all know how phenomenal Emi Martinez is. Arsenal have got to be kicking themselves for letting him go, not using him for 10 years and then getting rid of him. And since then, he's arguably been the most consistent, most dominant goalkeeper in the Premier League. He's won the World Cup and now he's been a major factor in why Aston Villa have qualified for the Champions League this season. So for me, Emi Martinez takes the goalkeeper spot. In defence, again, I think there are a few options, but for me, there is a standout 3 players that absolutely have to be in there. And what I will also say at this point is it is those 3 defenders only that are going to make it into this team. I'm only going to go for 3 at the back. I know a lot of people like to go for 4. And I genuinely think, because we'll get onto the other candidates shortly, I genuinely think there were good contenders to get a 4th player in the defence. However, I just think the remaining 7 players that I'm going to pick in this video all individually just had better seasons than those other defenders. So I'm going to start off with the 2 Arsenal boys, which is, of course, Saliba and Gabriel. Absolutely immense for Arsenal. Like I said about David Raya, for me, these 2 are the main reason why Arsenal were able to get so many clean sheets this season. They've basically not missed a single game. They've been absolutely immense. Probably, if not definitely, the best centre-back partnership in the Premier League this season. And already people are starting to compare them to the likes of Terry and Carvalho, Ferdinand and Vidic. So, you know, very, very, very high standard, very high praise going on these 2. And they both thoroughly deserve their spot in the team of the season. And for me, the only sort of defender that has matched their level of performance this season is the one I'm going to put in the middle, which is Virgil van Dijk, who has looked absolutely back to his best this season. I can't really fault him. He is one of, if not the best centre-back in world football. Absolute tower of presence and composure and some of his ball-playing abilities as well. The best that we've probably seen from any centre-back in the Premier League. So for me, those 3 have to get in there. My honourable mentions for defence, Ben White, Kyle Walker, Mickey van der Ven, Manuel Akanji at Man City as well, and probably a couple of others that I'm sure you guys all mentioned in comments. Maybe even someone like Fabian Schär at Newcastle has been absolutely fantastic as well. But for me, these three defenders stand above all of the rest. And like I say, I think all the midfielders and attackers I'm going to go for also just edge out all of those other players I've just mentioned as defensive options. On to two defensive midfielders then, and I don't think many of you, again, are going to be too surprised by the two that I go for. Firstly, Rodri, the man who I said should have won the Ballon d'Or last year, and I think it was criminal that he basically didn't even get a look in for that reward, and again, wasn't even nominated for the Premier League Team of the Season, Premier League Player of the Season award this season. Rodri didn't lose a game this year in the Premier League. I think that says enough for you. He's been undefeated all season long. In terms of actual undefeatedness, the only game Rodri's actually lost was the penalty shootout to Real Madrid. So, I mean, there are people still arguing he's not actually lost since penalty shootouts don't count. So for me, he's the most important player in Manchester City's team, and Manchester City won the league. So Rodri obviously gets in. Alongside him, another Arsenal player, obviously, has to be Declan Rice. Probably the signing of the season in terms of level of performance in the team that he's gone into. There've possibly been signings that have had a better impact than Declan Rice, but in terms of the actual overall ability of a player that's signed for a team this year, Declan Rice, absolutely immense, and one of the main reasons, again, why Arsenal were so successful. We then move on to attacking midfielders, and again, there are a whole host of options for this, but for me, I think, again, these three just edge it. Firstly, the young player of the season, which was, of course, Cole Palmer, who, what an unbelievable season. When you go on about signing of the season, this is what I mean. I think Cole Palmer has to be considered the actual signing of the season because his impact on Chelsea and in terms of the numbers that he's racked up and how important he's been to Chelsea's success this season, I think Cole Palmer has to be the signing of the season over Declan Rice, even though I think as an actual calibre of player, Declan Rice has been a better signing than Cole Palmer. I hope that kind of makes sense to you guys, but you know, you have to pick Cole Palmer. 40 goal contributions, absolutely insane from him for Chelsea this season. Next to him, I've gone for Martin Odegaard. This was probably the one that I could have left out because you've got the likes of Bukayo Saka, Mohamed Salah, Heung-min Son, who have all contributed a lot more goals than Martin Odegaard this season. But again, in terms of overall importance to the side, I think if you took Martin Odegaard out of that Arsenal team, it would probably be the biggest loss to that side. I think you could even take a Saliba or a Gabriel out and it wouldn't be as important as taking Martin Odegaard out of that Arsenal side. He is the man that makes them tick. Yes, Declan Rice has been immense as well. But again, I think you could take Rice out and they would miss him less than they would miss Odegaard. He is the absolute glue that holds this team together. And arguably right now, the best attacking midfielder in the Premier League when fully fit, because obviously De Bruyne, again, is permanently injured. And then finally, the player of the season in regards to who was actually voted player of the season. But I will tell you now, he's not my player of the season. I have gone, obviously, for Phil Foden. Second top goal scorer in the Premier League this season. If you take away penalties, 19 goals, none of them from the penalty spot. He scored 2 goals that secured Man City the title, 2 hat-tricks as well. And like I said, he was literally voted the player of the season. So he has to be in this team. And like I said already, you look at the other players that I've left out in this position, I don't think anyone can really argue that these three haven't had better seasons than them. So that's going to be my midfield 3/5, which means I'm going to go for 2 up front. Firstly, I'm going to go for Ollie Watkins. Same as Phil Foden, 19 goals in the Premier League this season, none of them from the penalty spot. He's also joint second for goal contributions with 32 goals and assists combined. The only player to get more goal contributions than Ollie Watkins this season was Cole Palmer. So, you know, you have to look at Ollie Watkins this season and say he thoroughly deserves to be in the team of the season. And obviously, again, a major reason as to why Aston Villa are in the Champions League this season. And finally, he is undeniable. It has to be Erling Haaland. And I know people want to sit there and say Erling Haaland's not had a very good season, but that is Erling Haaland's not had a very good season in regards to the levels that have been set by Erling Haaland. He is still the top goal scorer in the Premier League this season by a comfortable margin. He is joint second with Ollie Watkins for total goal contributions, again, 1 goal behind Cole Palmer for total goal contributions. He only played, I think it was like 30 games this season and still scored 27 goals. He is the main man for Manchester City. He is the guy that puts the ball in the net. He is an absolute machine. And if anyone tells me that Erling Haaland does not deserve to be in this team of the season, then for me, you're absolutely mental. Because how can you not have the Golden Boot winner in your team of the season? He is an absolute machine and he thoroughly deserves to be in it. Before we round it off, I will name my player of the season. It is not Phil Foden, as I mentioned. It is also not Cole Palmer, who some of you may have thought I might have gone for based on all the stuff I said about him already being Young Player of the Year, most goal contributions, best signing of the season. I'm still going to go for Rodri. I don't care, again, what anyone says. Rodri is the most important player in the best team in the league, as I stated for my reasoning for him winning the Ballon d'Or. He's the most important player in the best team in the world. You take Rodri out of that team, the standard of Manchester City's levels drop so significantly. It is that noticeable that he is missing. For me, you have to have Rodri as the player of the season. He is that good. He's gone the entire season unbeaten in terms of Manchester City in the Premier League. So for me, Rodri is my player of the season. That is my team of the season. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below, because like I say, there are a lot of people that could have got into this team and it was very close on a fair few of them. But that's my 11. Let me know your 11 down in the comment section below. Don't forget to check out all those other videos that I have mentioned. And like I said, we've got a whole host coming up for you very soon. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you soon.